Ultamize. So here we are, 10 sessions in. We've talked about choosing goals strategically, treating goals as decisions about your life energy, escaping inherited definitions of success, sharpening vague goals, checking priorities, separating status from freedom and meaning, filtering career goals, designing business goals wisely, catching contradictions, and building a simple rhythm for keeping your goals honest. Good material, practical material, useful material, I would argue. But here's my honest concern. If you hear it once and then go back to the exact same environment, the exact same habits, the exact same calendar pressures, the same phone, the same inbox, the same defaults, well, guess what? Nothing much changes. Now, that's not an insult. That's how human behavior works. One of the biggest problems with the modern personal development industry is that it often confuses information with behavior change. The assumption is if people hear good advice once, read a book once, watch a seminar once, or feel inspired once, their lives should permanently improve afterward. Well, real human behavior usually doesn't work that way. Most people already know an enormous amount about what they should do. They know they should exercise more, sleep more, stress less, eat healthier, save money, improve relationships, spend less time staring at screens, and build better habits. The problem usually isn't lack of information. The problem is lack of reinforcement and reminders. That's one of the core ideas behind Ultimize. Ultimize isn't built primarily around one time inspiration, it's built around behavioral reinforcement, repeated exposure, repeated emotional associations, repeated environmental cueing, repeated identity shaping, repeated reminders, repeated habit installation over time, because repeated exposure changes behavior. The modern world already understands this principle extremely well. Advertising understands it. McDonald's doesn't just show you one ad when you're 7 years old and then disappear forever. Coca-Cola doesn't show you one commercial and assume your behavior changes permanently. Nike doesn't display one logo one time. Global corporations spend more than $1 trillion every year surrounding human beings with repeated exposure to ads and marketing because repeated exposure works. But advertising is only one example. Modern technology companies use behavioral reinforcement constantly. When your car goes ding, ding, ding until you put on your seatbelt, that's repetitive behavioral conditioning. I remember back in 1970, many people resisted seatbelts. Today, most people wear them automatically, not because they attended a motivational seminar about seatbelt safety one weekend. No, because repetitive reinforcement changed behavior over time. When your phone buzzes, rings, lights up, or vibrates dozens or hundreds of times a day, that's behavioral reinforcement. Apple doesn't need to buy advertisements every time you pick up your phone. Notifications already train the behavior. When Netflix automatically starts the next show, that's behavioral reinforcement. When Amazon immediately recommends additional products after every purchase, that's behavioral reinforcement. When social media apps create streaks, alerts, likes, badges, recommendations, and endless scrolling feeds, that's behavioral reinforcement. The modern world already shapes human behavior constantly through repeated exposure and environmental cueing. Ultimize simply asks a different question. What if those same behavioral reinforcement systems were intentionally used to help people build healthier, happier, more meaningful lives? That's the Ultimize philosophy. Not isolated inspiration, not one time motivation, but behavioral reinforcement over time. Because human beings are shaped less by isolated moments of insight and more by repeated patterns of attention, emotion, environment, and behavior. Traditional personal development often delivers information once and hopes behavior changes afterward. Ultimize is designed around the idea that lasting transformation usually requires ongoing reinforcement because repeated patterns eventually become habits, and habits eventually become identity. Now, for this subject, That matters enormously. Strategic goal design is not something you want to think about once, nod wisely, and then forget, while your calendar goes right back to being controlled by other people's priorities. Your goals need to stay visible. Your standards need to stay fresh. Your own definition of success needs to keep speaking louder than the inherited definitions, fashionable definitions, and noisy definitions all around you. That's why the Ultimize 2-Minute Reset comes next. It's not extra content, it's not a recap, it's not one more explanation. The Ultimize 2-Minute Reset is exactly 2 minutes long because the goal is not to give you another long discussion. The goal is to compress the most important habits, mindsets, tactics, and identity cues from this entire series into a short reinforcement tool you can actually repeat. It's 2 minutes. 2 minutes matters. 2 minutes is short enough to use daily. 2 minutes is long enough to contain the core ideas. 2 minutes can fit while you're getting ready, walking, stretching, sitting in your car before a meeting, or resetting your attention between projects. That's why I want this format to be consistent, not random, not bloated, not about 5 minutes. The Ultimize 2-Minute Reset is designed to become a signature reinforcement tool for you. So don't treat the reset as something to check off once. Use it as the concentrated version of this work. Use it to remind yourself that goals are choices, not decorations. Use it to remember that status, money, freedom, meaning, career, and business all need to be examined before they consume your best energy. Use it to keep your goals from drifting back into old assumptions. That's the point of Ultimize, not more information for the sake of information, but reinforcement, repetition, a short reset that helps the right ideas stay present long enough to influence real choices.